When spray-on fireproofing is applied to building steel, it's crucial to remove it from electrical metallic tubing, or EMT conduits. The primary reason for this is that fireproofing is designed to protect the steel structure from the intense heat of a fire. Steel loses its structural integrity at high temperatures, and the fireproofing material acts as an insulator, slowing down the rate at which the steel heats up. However, EMT conduit, made of metal, already provides a significant degree of fire protection to the electrical conductors inside. The metal casing itself acts as a barrier against flames and heat. Applying fireproofing directly to the EMT conduit can create a situation where the electrical current flow is impeded. This can happen for a few reasons. Firstly, the fireproofing material, while designed to withstand high temperatures, is not necessarily a good conductor of electricity. If the fireproofing gets between sections of the conduit or around fittings, it can disrupt the electrical continuity of the conduit system. EMT conduit is often used as a grounding conductor, providing a path for fault current to flow back to the source in the event of a short circuit. If the fireproofing interferes with this grounding path, it can prevent the proper operation of overcurrent protection devices such as circuit breakers or fuses. This could lead to a dangerous situation where a fault current continues to flow, potentially causing a fire or electrical shock. Secondly, the fireproofing material can create an insulating layer that prevents the conduit from dissipating heat effectively. The electrical conductors generate heat as current flows through them. This heat needs to be dissipated to prevent the conductors from overheating and potentially damaging the insulation. EMT conduit helps to dissipate heat by conducting it away from the conductors and radiating it into the surrounding air. If the conduit is covered in fireproofing, this heat dissipation is reduced, which can lead to higher conductor temperatures and a reduced lifespan for the electrical system. Furthermore, access to the conduit for future repairs and maintenance is essential. Electrical systems require periodic inspection and maintenance to ensure their safe and reliable operation. This includes checking for loose connections, damaged wiring, and other potential problems. If the EMT conduit is covered in fireproofing, it can be difficult to access the conduit for these inspections and repairs. The fireproofing may need to be removed to gain access, which can be time-consuming and costly. In some cases, the fireproofing may be damaged during the removal process, requiring it to be reapplied. This can further increase the cost and time associated with maintenance. In addition to the practical considerations, there may also be code requirements that prohibit the application of fireproofing to EMT conduit. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a widely adopted standard for the safe installation of electrical wiring and equipment. It's important to consult the NEC and any applicable local codes to determine the specific requirements for your installation. The NEC addresses the installation of electrical equipment in various environments, and it may contain provisions that restrict the use of fireproofing on EMT conduit. For example, the NEC may require that electrical equipment be accessible for inspection and maintenance, which could be interpreted as prohibiting the application of fireproofing that would impede access. To ensure electrical safety and maintainability, it is generally recommended to remove fireproofing from EMT conduit. This allows the conduit to function properly as a grounding conductor, dissipate heat effectively, and be easily accessed for future repairs and maintenance. This is crucial for the safe operation of essential electrical equipment, such as fire pumps and alarms, which rely on a reliable electrical supply to function properly during an emergency. Ensuring that the electrical system is properly grounded and protected from overheating is essential for the safety of building occupants and the protection of property. Therefore, careful consideration should be given to the application of fireproofing around electrical equipment, and any fireproofing that is applied to EMT conduit should be removed to ensure compliance with safety standards and code requirements. Now, let's delve deeper into some specific scenarios and considerations related to fireproofing and EMT conduit. Firstly, the type of fireproofing material used can impact its effect on the EMT conduit. Some fireproofing materials are more conductive than others, and some may be more likely to interfere with the electrical continuity of the conduit system. It's important to consult the manufacturer's specifications for the fireproofing material to determine its electrical properties and its compatibility with the EMT conduit. Secondly, the thickness of the fireproofing layer can also be a factor. A thicker layer of fireproofing may provide greater fire protection, but it can also increase the difficulty of accessing the conduit for maintenance and repairs. The optimal thickness of the fireproofing layer should be determined based on the specific fire protection requirements of the building and the accessibility needs of the electrical system. Thirdly, the method of application of the fireproofing can also affect its impact on the EMT conduit. If the fireproofing is applied carelessly, it may be more likely to get into the conduit fittings and interfere with the electrical connections. It's important to ensure that the fireproofing is applied carefully and evenly, and that any excess material is removed from around the conduit fittings. Additionally, the environmental conditions in which the EMT conduit is installed can also play a role. In corrosive environments, the fireproofing material may degrade over time, potentially exposing the conduit to corrosion. This can weaken the conduit and reduce its ability to provide fire protection and grounding. In such environments, it may be necessary to apply a protective coating to the EMT conduit before applying the fireproofing material. Another aspect to consider is the potential for the fireproofing material to absorb moisture. Some fireproofing materials are porous and can absorb moisture from the air. This moisture can then corrode the EMT conduit and reduce its lifespan. In humid environments, it may be necessary to use a fireproofing material that is resistant to moisture absorption or to apply a waterproof coating to the conduit before applying the fireproofing. Furthermore, the size and type of EMT conduit can also influence the need for fireproofing removal. Larger conduits may be more resistant to heat and fire, and may not require as much fire protection as smaller conduits. The type of EMT conduit, such as galvanized steel or aluminum, can also affect its fire resistance. Galvanized steel conduit is generally more resistant to fire than aluminum conduit. Moreover, the location of the EMT conduit within the building can also impact the need for fireproofing removal. Conduits that are located in areas with a high fire risk, such as near flammable materials or in areas with a high concentration of electrical equipment, may require more fire protection than conduits that are located in areas with a low fire risk. It is crucial to have a comprehensive understanding of the applicable building codes and standards related to fire protection and electrical safety. These codes and standards provide detailed requirements for the installation of electrical equipment in various types of buildings and occupancies. They also specify the types of fire protection measures that are required for different types of building materials and equipment. Consulting with a qualified electrical engineer or fire protection specialist can help ensure that the electrical system is designed and installed in accordance with all applicable codes and standards. They can also provide guidance on the proper application and removal of fireproofing materials. Now let's consider some specific scenarios where fireproofing removal from EMT conduit is particularly important. Firstly, in healthcare facilities, such as hospitals and clinics, a reliable electrical supply is critical for the operation of life-saving equipment. Fire pumps, emergency lighting, and other essential electrical systems must be able to function properly during a fire. If the fireproofing on the EMT conduit interferes with the electrical continuity of the system, it could jeopardize the operation of these critical systems. Secondly, in data centers, where large amounts of sensitive electronic equipment are housed, fire protection is essential to prevent data loss and business interruption. The electrical systems in data centers are often complex and require careful planning and installation to ensure their reliability and safety. Fireproofing on EMT conduits can create a potential hazard by interfering with the grounding system and potentially causing equipment damage. Thirdly, in industrial facilities, where hazardous materials may be present, fire protection is crucial to prevent explosions and other catastrophic events. The electrical systems in industrial facilities must be designed and installed to minimize the risk of ignition and to ensure that essential safety systems, such as fire alarms and suppression systems, can function properly during an emergency. Fireproofing on EMT conduit can impede the operation of these systems and create a significant safety risk. Finally, It is important to remember that electrical safety is an ongoing process. Regular inspections and maintenance are essential to identify and correct any potential problems before they can lead to accidents or injuries. This includes checking for damaged or deteriorated fireproofing, loose electrical connections, and other signs of wear and tear. By taking a proactive approach to electrical safety, you can help to ensure the safety of building occupants and the protection of property. When removing fireproofing from EMT conduit, it is important to use appropriate tools and techniques to avoid damaging the conduit or the electrical conductors inside. A putty knife or scraper can be used to carefully remove the fireproofing material. It is also important to wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and eye protection, to protect yourself from the fireproofing dust and debris. After removing the fireproofing, inspect the EMT conduit for any signs of damage or corrosion. If any damage is found, the conduit should be repaired or replaced. Finally, ensure that all electrical connections are tight and secure. If any connections are loose, they should be tightened to prevent arcing and overheating. In summary, removing fireproofing from EMT conduit is an essential step in ensuring electrical safety and maintaining the reliability of electrical systems. By understanding the reasons for this requirement and following proper procedures, you can help to prevent accidents and injuries and protect property from fire damage. Always consult with qualified professionals and adhere to applicable codes and standards to ensure the safe and effective operation of electrical systems. Fireproofing materials can sometimes contain hazardous substances. It is essential to follow all safety precautions and regulations related to the handling and disposal of these materials. If you are unsure about the proper procedures, consult with a qualified environmental professional or waste disposal company. Moreover, consider the long-term impact of fireproofing removal on the overall fire protection strategy of the building. In some cases, removing fireproofing from EMT conduit may require additional fire protection measures to be implemented elsewhere in the building to maintain the required level of fire safety. These measures may include installing additional fire sprinklers, fire-resistant walls, or other fire-stopping materials. A comprehensive fire risk assessment should be conducted to determine the appropriate fire protection measures for the building. Remember that the information provided here is for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with qualified professionals and adhere to applicable codes and standards to ensure the safe and effective operation of electrical systems and fire protection measures. In conclusion, prioritizing electrical safety and adhering to best practices for fire protection is paramount. Removing fireproofing from EMT conduit is a critical step in maintaining the integrity of electrical systems, ensuring the safety of building occupants, and protecting property from fire damage. By understanding the reasons behind this requirement and taking the necessary precautions, you can contribute to a safer and more reliable built environment.